This is the KRUI News at Noon, brought to you in part by the Daily Iowan. This is KRUI, Iowa City.
Howdy, Iowa City. It's noon and it's 32 degrees. You're listening to KRUI News at Noon. I'm Blake Jorgensen.
And I'm Tess, Butterman. Here are today's headlines.
The Oscar Pistorius trial isn't over like we thought.
The Cubs took a big step towards reaching the playoffs.
And a report on the CIA's torture techniques reveals some troubling news.
A recently released report on CIA interrogating and detention techniques has readers feeling uneasy and concerned. A summary spanning more than 500 pages reveals the torture techniques used during a program to detain and interrogate terrorism suspects in the years after September 11 attacks. Some of the questionable torture techniques used by the CIA include week-long sleep deprivation, death by hypothermia, rectal feeding or rectal hydration, and waterboarding. And the CIA's records show that even the most extreme interrogation methods had no role in capturing terrorist leaders, disrupting terrorism plots, or even finding Osama bin Laden.
Olympic track star Oscar Pistorius, known as the Blade Runner for his blade-like prosthetic legs, is back in the news. In September, Pistorius was found guilty of culpable homicide, which is equivalent to manslaughter, for shooting his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp through a bathroom door on Valentine's Day of 2013. He received a 5-year sentence but was eligible to be placed on house arrest after 10 months. Now, a South African judge ruled that prosecutors may appeal her decision to acquit Pistorius on murder charges. One prosecutor said Pistorius committed a form of murder more serious than culpable homicide, but less serious than premeditated murder that would carry a 25-year sentence.
2 bodies were found in a Coralville hotel Tuesday night. Police have blocked off part of the suburban extended stay hotel to investigate. As of now, there is still no word yet on whether they've been able to identify the bodies or determine what happened.
After 40 years in Iowa City, owners of the Brown Bottle have decided to close the restaurant, saying business has slowed over the past decade. As downtown crowds go younger, the last customers were served Sunday.
As one restaurant closes, a new one opens. A new cycling-themed restaurant called Ride is set to open next week in Iowa City. Ride will use locally sourced, fresh ingredients to make their Iowa comfort food. And beer lovers can also enjoy a unique collection of brews developed and created by the restaurant. And don't be surprised if you see bicycles hanging from the ceiling in the dining room.
Speaking of transitions, Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Michael Jeffries is stepping down after holding the title for nearly 2 decades. Abercrombie had been on the downturn and dealing with lawsuits about discriminating against minorities in the hiring process and age discrimination. Non-executive chairman Arthur Martinez will run daily operations until a new CEO is named. Abercrombie's stock rose 8% yesterday.
HBO is planning to release a standalone streaming service this April to coincide with the new season of Game of Thrones. The service will look a lot different than HBO Go and a lot more like Netflix.
Long-running TV drama Sons of Anarchy revved up the engines one last time last night for its series finale. The show, which airs on FX and revolves around a biker gang, began in 2008 and drew a huge following. Things got both Shakespearean and biblical, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
The John Lester free agent watch is over. Lester signed a 6-year, $155 million contract late last night, choosing to sign with the Chicago Cubs over his former team, the Red Sox. The Cubs looked primed to compete soon after hiring manager Joe Maddon a month ago and trading for yesterday.
The Iowa men's basketball team was back in action last night. Iowa beat Alcorn State 67-44 in a game that was never in doubt. Things get more interesting later this week as the men's and women's team play Iowa State in Carver Hawkeye Arena. The women play Thursday night at 7 and the men play Friday at 7.
That's all we have. Again, it's 32 degrees, and for KRUI, I'm Tess Butterman.
And I'm Blake Jorgensen. Finish this last week of classes strong and go Hawks.